who is this program for? We focused on helping a hand-picked team of 6 to 10 change makers in your organization. And this elite innovation squad will become your internal startup, pioneering AI-driven solutions that define your organization's future. Through our immersive sessions built on the principles of design, tools, elements, and mindset to collaborate effectively. The premium AI Strategy Accelerator is a culture of continuous improvement, ensuring your organization remains at the forefront of this AI. Now you might be wondering who I am. My name is Dan Fitzpatrick, the AI educator. I'm an award-winning educational strategist and the author of the best-selling book, The AI Classroom, The Ultimate Guide to Artificial Intelligence in Education. I work with schools, universities, and businesses on every continent, guiding them in the integration of artificial intelligence and the development of strategies for future disruption. I've helped over 55,000 educators discover, embrace, and integrate artificial intelligence. I've also studied innovation and design thinking at MIT, Columbia, and Yale. So how does the premium AI Strategy Accelerator work? Well, we deliver world-class facilitation to help you design, test, and develop your approach to the integration of artificial intelligence in your organization. Every organization is unique, and so are their AI needs. That's why we start with a discovery call to understand your specific goals, challenges, and aspirations. Based on our findings, we'll recommend the most effective approach to set you on a path to success. And below you will see the different approaches we can take with you in your organization to make this happen. We are constantly looking for new ways to ensure your success. If at any time you run into a point of friction, you can reach out to us and we'll be there to support you. So if you're excited about revolutionizing your organization, we would love to hear you. We're really excited about the program that we're building. We would love to have you join us. I'm looking forward to seeing your application. I'm looking forward to seeing the AI Strategy Accelerator sometime soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar. We've got I've just been checking out how many people have been joining us from pretty much every corner of the world. So thank you for joining us. I am Dan Fitzpatrick, the AI educator, and I'm joining you from the northeast of England, a place called Newcastle. So it's fantastic to be with you, just ending the day here. So if you're just starting the day, let's jump into it. So I'm really excited that we've got a great special guest with us, joining us at the top of this webinar. When we first started talking about doing a webinar around NotebookLM and the implications for studying, for teachers, for education, it was great that Stephen Johnson, who is one of the co-creators of this tool, replied and on Twitter. So he's gonna join us now and talk us through what NotebookLM is. Hi, Stephen.
Hey, Dan. How's it going?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. It's early morning here in Mountain View, California, at Google's headquarters. Excited to be talking to you and everyone else around the world.
Yeah, thanks for, because was it like 8 o'clock in the morning for you? So
yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us this early.
Sure thing.
Yeah, so I guess so. A lot of people will know you as you're a prolific author when it comes to innovation, lots of best-selling books, and your kind of work around innovation. And you're with Google Labs as well. And
creating NotebookLM. Would you be able to just tell us a bit about the journey of why you created this tool?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been really fascinated throughout my career writing books with the possibility of software to help us understand material more deeply, to learn, to do research, to, help us organize ideas, which is wonderful for a writer like me, but also obviously incredibly important in an educational context, both for teachers and for students. Uh, and so I'd used a bunch of software tools over the years. I kind of notoriously kept this quote collection from books that I'd read, using the Kindle and a wonderful service called Readwise. So I have something like 8,000 quotes from books that has just been like on my hard drive for all these years, like 20 years of my reading history. And uh, and so when the language model revolution really started to hit a couple years ago, actually before ChatGPT came out, some folks at Google Labs reached out. They knew my work, they knew my obsessions with tools for thought, and they said, "Hey, we can finally build this thing that you've been dreaming of your whole life in a way that was just unthinkable just a couple of years ago. Now that we have these language models." And they said, "Why don't you come and be involved and have a writer, in the room from the very beginning of the process of building a tool?" And what we really wanted to build was a tool that was, an application that was built from the ground up, knowing that there was going to be a language model at the core of it. And so throwing out a lot of our assumptions about how software is supposed to work, and like, what would you do if you started from scratch, knowing that there was always going to be this fascinating new form of artificial intelligence, and how would you build a tool to help you research and think and organizing your ideas and understand material. And that's what NotebookLM has become.
Yeah, I love that idea of because it's for writers, it's for those who research, that they reached out to you and put you at the center. And in my work with AI and education, educators are really kind of concerned that the educators put at the center if like a tool's being made for education. I think it's so important that we don't just get this tech tool made in Silicon Valley and then we're trying to wedge it into what we know works, but actually from the ground up it's made with that in mind.
And you can see this. So one of the core fundamental principles of NotebookLM, which I'm sure you'll get into in this webinar, is this idea, what we call source grounding, which is to say you define a set of sources that are relevant to your project. They could be your quotes that you've collected over the years. They could be the syllabus for your class, the assigned reading for a class. It could be articles you've put together, or your corporate documents, whatever it is. And you open up a notebook and you create, you upload these sources and say, this is what I want the model to be grounded in. When I'm asking questions, I want them to refer to these documents. I want you to summarize these documents. I want you to draw your your summaries or your answers from the ground truth of these documents. And that was there at the very first feature we ever built was answer this question based on these documents and show what passage from the original source you used to answer the question. And that was just that was kind of a very unusual idea in early 20 or mid 2022. It's become a little bit more common now, but because Notebook was built with that from the ground up, we now have this very advanced citation system, which is a very writerly, scholarly, academic kind of concept, but in a world where you have language models at risk of hallucination and all these problems, when you can cite everything, when you can see what the original source material is saying, it really makes a huge difference. So it's when we initially started talking about it, it sounded very nerdy that you would have all this kind of bibliographic information, but it actually turns out to be very useful for even people outside of academia and education.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other concerns actually that I get quite a bit when working with educators is, well, where's the information coming from? How can we trust the information? And I suppose by putting the users' sources, the users' content at the heart of that, then I suppose it builds that confidence that it's coming from the knowledge that they can trust.
Yeah, and we've been very strict about it. So perhaps to a fault, I think like you can't really do anything with NotebookLM until you upload sources. So people are used to, the Gemini or ChatGPT model where you can just start chatting and it'll answer. We limit that. And if you upload a bunch of sources about, say, British history, and then you ask a question about Taylor Swift, it will say, hey, I'm sorry, the documents don't say anything about Taylor Swift. And so they're kind of guardrails, which also make it really valuable in an academic context. So you can say to your students, you can use NotebookLM with this reading for this class, and you'll be able to ask questions and learn and explore and get explanations based on the particular reading for the class, but you'll have to stay within that zone of expertise or information while you use the software.
Yeah, and I love that kind of how the facilitation of innovation as well. I think, especially because of large language models and the capabilities of AI, a lot of schools, colleges, universities are really trying to kind of excel their innovation at the moment. And and I suppose a big part of innovation has been able to connect lots of information, lots of inspiration as well. And I know there's been a big trend over recent years of PKM, personal knowledge management, of, I guess, like what you were saying, collecting those quotes from books, but actually then what do you do with them? And we've seen other tools, haven't we, start to come out that is trying to address this issue of, well, is there something out there that can connect this information for you and give you new ideas and help you innovate? And is that one of the hopes for NotebookLM?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's amazing at that. So one thing that you can do, for instance, we have a kind of slightly obscure feature, but if you've got a collection of sources, like say I've got my reading notes, so 7,000 quotes. Most people don't have that many quotes, but like whatever it is, you've got some collection of like things that are important to you that you read in the past and that probably are not immediately accessible to you in your memory because it's hard to remember everything you read. So you put those in a notebook, and then you can write, jot down some ideas in a note, because you can just create your own note and write in there. And then if you select that note, one of the options you'll see is suggest related ideas. And so it will take the passage you've just written and then go through all the attached selected sources, and it will say, oh, you just wrote this thing about ant colonies, and that actually relates to this other thing about, collective intelligence, and also this other thing that was written about evolutionary psychology, and this other thing, and will, give you a set of references. So being able to make those associations is have the computer help you make those creative leaps that's just astonishing that it can do that. And it does it really, really well. Particularly, and the important thing, Dan, is that the intelligence there is, yes, it's Gemini, which is the model that underlies NotebookLM, but it's also the intelligence of the person writing the original paragraph and the intelligence of all the sources that you've uploaded and your curating of those sources. So it's not just you're like handing everything over to the AI and saying, hey, you think for me. It's saying, okay, we're going to be in this collaborative mode where, you're able, AI, to scan through all these documents. I'm going to suggest things. I'm going to create an interesting collection of documents. And it's just a new way of kind of thinking in partnership with software.
Yeah, I like that. I was, as you can imagine, I've been playing with it for the last few weeks. And I like how it just doesn't. I suppose if you use ChatGPT and you're like, write an essay for me on this subject, and it'll do it within 10 seconds. I like how it doesn't do that in a way. What it'll do is it'll almost bring together all of the quotations and the source material that you then have to take away and use. And I think, to be honest, I think that's what people who are doing research, students, educators, that's what they want. I think there's a lot of those people who, and again, I talk to them every day, that feel a bit disheartened that this thing wants to do the work for you. But actually, if there's a tool there like we see in NotebookLM that can just help you with that information gathering where you can trust it, I think that's so important.
One of the ways that I've started talking about it, and it took me a while to kind of get to this actually, is that on some level, NotebookLM is a tool that's optimized for helping you understand material. And sometimes you understand things by having a conversation, like there's a chat interface where you can ask questions. Sometimes you can kind of write down your own notes. Sometimes you can read the original sources inside of NotebookLM and you can get help understanding them. There are a lot of different modalities there, but we have tools that help us, edit our photos, and we have tools that help us do spreadsheets. This is a tool for understanding on some level. And I don't know, we haven't had a lot of software in that mode to date, in part because we didn't have AI at this level of sophistication. And now, this is possible, which obviously a tool for understanding is useful in a lot of different places, but boy, does it really sing in the classroom environment. Because so much of what you're trying to do is like learn and understand complex material.
Yeah, and tell us about the updates, because you got in contact, didn't you, and said that there's some major updates coming.
Yeah, they're live actually. The fact that we're having this discussion with so many people around the world is probably the related to the biggest update, which is that we are now, as of just 10 days ago or so, live in 200 countries and territories around the world. And we fully natively support 38 languages. And I actually hadn't even realized quite how advanced this feature is. But like, for instance, we're seeing all these users in Japan. Like, Japan is like our largest market outside of the United States. And one big use is, people will upload documents in English that have been written in English and just have a chat with the model about them entirely in Japanese.
Okay.
And so it's completely fluent. It will go back and forth between any of the supported 38 languages. You can just kind of like, you can have, the document can be in French. You can be talking in Spanish about it. It's all, so that's a big thing. So we're available with, very multilingual. We now, we up the number of sources that you can have per notebook to 50 sources per notebook. And each source can be, 500,000 words long. So you can effectively be talking to like 25 million words worth of content in a single notebook, which hopefully will be enough for most people.
Yeah, you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
We added support for Google Slides, including images, and images and docs. So there's true image understanding. So you can upload a bunch of images in slides and ask if it's like a chart. You can ask questions about the chart, and it will understand visually what the chart signifies, and it will translate that into text for you. Like, you can upload handwritten documents or old scans of text that haven't been OCR'd, and it will understand. I mean, it's astonishing, that stuff. Sorry, my headphone just fell out. We also made a serious improvement to the citation system that we talked about before. So now, when you get an answer from the model, you see these inline citations at each kind of fact that the model reports, and those citations say, okay, this sentence or this paragraph is supported by this particular passage or these passages in these sources. And you can hover over those citations to see the original passage, or you can click on them, and that takes you directly to the source material. It's an incredible way to explore, a complex material. And then kind of the other feature we're really excited about is now, when you first upload your sources, you get a notebook guide. And that's a way of, I'm sure you'll show some of this in the talk, but that basically gives you a kind of a high level overview of all the sources you've uploaded. And you can create these kind of pre-formatted guides. There's one, an FAQ, so you can take all your sources and generate a frequently asked question document or a timeline with a cast of characters. Most important for the education market, there's a study guide, and that basically gives you a set of short answer questions with an answer key, like 10 questions, and then the answers to the questions. Suggested 5 long form essay questions that doesn't have the answer to them, although you could ask the model those questions and they will give you the answer. And then a glossary of key terms. So you upload a bunch of things, you hit study guide, and bloop, there you go. You got to wait for like 30 seconds, and then you'll get this like exhaustive like summary with the quizzes and all this kind of amazing stuff. So there's some other features, but those are the big ones. And I really hope people will get to check it out.
That's cool. And I'm right in thinking it's using the latest version of Gemini Pro.
Yeah. We upgraded in early or kind of mid-May. So it's using Gemini Pro 1.5. which was a major leap forward for us. I mean, this model is so good and so creative. Like your ability to so one of the things that you do a lot in NotebookLM that maybe you can talk about is you can select individual sources that you uploaded, or you can select your notes. And what you're doing at that point is you're kind of focusing the model's attention on those particular documents. You can talk to all your documents, or you talk to all your notes. It's hard to talk to them both at the same time, by the way, but we're working on that. But sometimes you're just like, hey, like for instance, the other day I was working on a new set of features and I have a bunch of notes about these new features, and I was wanting to kind of make it clear to the team like how those features would play out like once we launch them. And so I just selected the notes that I had about the new features, just those notes, and I said, draft a press release announcing these new features, like include quotes from the team and stuff like that. And it just created this like mock press release looking at the features as I described them and understanding a little bit about how NotebookLM works. And it just created this amazing document like in 15 seconds because I was able to like focus on that specific like set of notes. So that's another key thing that is genuinely new. Like we've never had to kind of focus AI on different objects or material before, but now you can do it in NotebookLM.
Yeah. And there'll be a lot of people who are watching now who maybe work in a school that use Google Workspace for education. And I know Google Workspace, I think just recently announced, was it yesterday or the day before that, it would be allowing Gemini for teenagers within like an education domain. Is there any, I know you probably can't talk about this, or you might, but is there any plan, because I know this is still kind of in an experimental stage, was there any plan to integrate that with Workspace for education in the future, or have you even got to that point of thinking about it yet?
Yeah, I mean, we love all the education folks, but both Classroom and Workspace, and they've been, we've been talking with them from the very beginning of this project. Ben Gomes, who runs all that stuff, has always been a great advocate for this project. We really want to do a big push into education. We're kind of trying to figure out like what the best way to do that is, given the existing Google platforms. So nothing to announce there other than like something will be coming for sure. We don't quite know yet what it is, honestly. In fact, I didn't know that about Gemini. Everything's happening so fast, so that's news to me, Dan. That's good. I'm glad to hear it, because actually a big thing is right now Notebook is 18 plus. And so we definitely we think it has fantastic high school use for sure. And so we would definitely be interested in trying to figure out how to let younger people into it. And the last thing I'd say is, and I'm sure you'll cover this too, it's a wonderful tool for students, but for educators too. I mean, just like, upload your syllabus and then, brainstorm ideas for assignments. I've done a bunch of tests where I've uploaded a bunch of things and I've been like, okay, create a 3-week project-based learning syllabus based on this material, suggest specific activities, and and it's a great kind of generator of first drafts of things. Then you can go in and fix it or revise it, and but you get kind of ideas based on your sources so quickly. It's very powerful that way.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy man and you've got a busy day ahead, but thanks for getting into the offices early for us, and really cool that you're joining us from Google HQ as well. So thank you so much, Stephen.
Well, thanks for the support, Dan. And hopefully I can come back when we have some more features and you can do another one of these.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, thank you. Take care. Have a good day.
Bye.
Okay, right. We're gonna delve into the tool now. It was amazing that Stephen could join us there and kind of give us some inside information. I think it's really important that when we're playing with a new tool, it's great to know kind of the why behind it, why it was created, the process that it's gone through, which is why I was really excited that we could get Stephen on to this call. For the rest of this, we're going to delve into it. We're going to have a little look at it. As always, these tools really come to life when you try them yourself. So on the screen there, you will see the web address, which is notebooklm.google. If you go there, you will need a Gmail or a Workspace account to be able to log in and get there. I think most people in the world seem to have either a Gmail or a workspace account. So once you're in there, you can have a look around. So please do head over there now and check that out. Before we go any further, though, I'm able to bring this webinar free to you because of our very special partners, Synaptic. If you go to Synaptic, which is SAINAPTIC.com, and I will put that on the screen for you. If you go to Synaptic, you can check out their AI tools for educators and their assessment tools, which are great. I've been looking at Synaptic for over a year now and really saw their journey come along. So I just want to say thank you to the whole team at Synaptic for getting behind us for this and enabling me to bring this to you for free. So please do, as a thank you, please do check them out. Really appreciate that. Yeah, head over to notebooklm.google and let's dive in. So get your questions in as well. I'm in the UK, so like Stephen said, this has been available to most of us if you're not in the United States for about 10 days now. So there's no way I'm an expert in this at all. I've been playing around with this for 10 days because I'm in the UK and I've had access to it for 10 days. So if you've been playing around with it longer, if you're in the United States, please do jump in. Help me answer questions as well if you can in the chat. That would be amazing. I know some people are pros at all things Google. I noticed we got Peter Horner on the conversation there as well. Who's a font of knowledge, all things technical when it comes to Google. Like Stephen said, this is for 18 years and over at the moment. So this will be for working with it as a teacher, or if you've got students in higher education or above 18 years old. Yeah, so without any further ado, let's jump into it. So this is obviously what it looks like when you go to it. And you'll see in the top left-hand corner, it says experiment because it's still an experimental tool, as Stephen was saying. And I'm just going to click try NotebookLM. And it's going to take me to this page. And you can see I've already started to create a few as I've been learning to use it within my work. I'm going to go down to the bottom, though, because, first of all, they give you some examples of what this can look like. And one of the great examples here is the introduction to NotebookLM. So I'm just click that and I can go into it. And this gives you a nice overview. On the left-hand side, you can see the sources that they've used. And what was Stephen saying there? That was it 25 million words worth of writing now you can get into the sources. And I can't add any sources to this because it's locked, because it's like an example one from Google. But I can ask it questions. In fact, down the bottom, I'm going to click Notebook Guide, and it will come up with some suggested questions. So if you do have questions throughout this webinar and you're not getting any answers in the chat, go into this notebook, click Notebook Guide, and you can ask it some questions. Okay, so if I try, I'm going to try it here. Let's go for can people under 18 years old use NotebookLM? First time I've ever asked it this question. We're going on this journey together, so hopefully we get something that's good here. Apparently the sources don't explicitly say that it's for under 18s. We know it is, but these sources don't. But yeah, ask it some questions and try it out if you do have any questions. The answers might not be in there because they're not in the source material. And like Stephen said, if it's not in the source material, it's not going to kind of go and search the Gemini knowledge and Gemini database and come back with an answer for you or search the internet. That's not what this is designed to do. It's designed to be very enclosed and to just use the information in here. I'm going to address a question quite early because somebody's asked it and I think it's quite important. So somebody has mentioned about the data and where that goes. And if I hover over the kind of like the security badge icon next to the sources button, it might be a bit small for you to read, but it says your personal data is never used to train NotebookLM, so it's not going back into the AI. To troubleshoot, address abuse, or make improvements based on your feedback, human reviewers may review your queries. uploads, and the model's responses. So please refrain from submitting any information that you would not want a human reviewer to see. So if you're concerned about this being used to train the AI, that's not happening, but a human reviewer at Google may look at this in order for them to improve it, which I think is fair enough. It's in the experimental stage. They're obviously looking to improve it, but so just so that you're aware of it. Let's go back. So I'm going to go back to the notebooks, and we're going to jump in and create a notebook ourselves. And like I said, if you've got this open, hopefully you have, you can do something similar along with me. So I'm going to click New Notebook, and you will see straight away it takes me into a blank notebook, and it prompts me to upload. So this is where I'm going to upload my source material. Don't worry if you don't upload it all now, because you will be able to continue to upload other source material after you've gotten past this stage. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click PDF, and I'm going to upload some source material. And this is, I'm just going to upload all of these. And you will see there on the left-hand side, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different documents here. Now, these documents are documents that I've collected from around the world of guidance on using AI in education. So the first kind of use case I want to explore with you is, maybe you're in a school right now, you're in a college, you're in a university, and you're looking at creating some AI guidance for your institution, and maybe even a policy to get your organization started with using AI. And you can see here on the left hand side, it's uploaded 2 of those sources, and it's going to keep uploading them. So this may take a little while, because obviously I uploaded 12 of them, but as it does, as each new source is added, we will see, the third one's just coming in now, we will see that this will get adapted in front of us. So this is the first thing it gives us. It gives us a summary of all of the documents that we are uploading. So you can see here, it's a summary of that first document. If I just click off here and then go back on, and it will start to update and add the other documents as well, and give a summary of all of them that are being uploaded. It also gives us some suggested questions. So as we can see on the right-hand side, how can educational institutions effectively integrate AI while addressing ethical concerns and preserving the value of human interaction? It's a really good question, actually, and something that if you were doing a guide like this for your school, college, or university, you might want to address directly. So it's great that that has come up as a suggested question. And let's try it. So I'm going to click on it, and what it will do is it will bring up the chat. Now, when it comes to large language models, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Claude, and so on, the chat feature is kind of what we're used to, isn't it? Obviously, it's using Gemini, but it's just chatting with the source material. And so far, that is 7 sources. So we've still got 5 left to come in. They're uploading and being processed as we speak. So straight away, this is the answer to the question. So integrating AI in educational institutions. And you can see it gives me a nicely formatted and structured answer there. So education institutions can effectively integrate AI. And then you will see after the sentence, it tells me the sources of where it's kind of got this information from. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the first 5 sources in my list. And if I just hover above the number, you will see in a box appears the information from that source that is being referenced. So what it's done is it's went into those sources, it's found information that will answer the question, and it's not just kind of copied and pasted and brought it back. It's synthesized that information for us, and you can see that one sentence is based on 5 different sources. So that one sentence has been synthesized, or is a synthesis of those 5 different sources. If I want to go into it deeper, maybe I want to see some of the information around the sources. If I go, let's say, source 2, if I click on it rather than just hover above it, in the left-hand side, it will open a panel for me, and I can see where in the document the answer is referencing. and I can see kind of what's gone before and what's after, because it's given me all of the PDF there. And then I can have a look at that if I need to. Maybe I want to take some more information out of that, add it to a separate note, which we'll look at in just a second. I can. And if I just click the X button, it's going to get rid of that side panel. So we're up to 8 sources at the minute. I think one or two of these PDFs are really big, so just give it a few seconds, and hopefully we'll get to the 12 sources soon. Right, I'm going to go back. It's a bit like, I suppose, the notebook guide in the bottom right-hand corner is a bit like mission control. I suppose that's the only way I can kind of describe it, because that's where you'll find the summary, suggested questions, and then some other things which we're going to have a look at right now. So at the top there, it gives us, where it says generate, some kind of standard things that we can do here. And Stephen mentioned a few of these when we were chatting to him just before. So what I could do is I could take those documents and I could generate a frequently asked question. So that's what I'll do. So I'm going to click that, and you can see this time, because it's not in the chat, because I didn't ask it the question like I did earlier, this time it's going to generate a new note. And this is the first time we've seen the note section. So here in front of us, it can be populated with notes. These notes are generated from the AI using the source material, or we can add to those notes manually, which we will get into soon. And here we go. So it's created the FAQs for us. So I can go down, and it's got a number of questions here. What is generative AI, and why is it important in education? What are some of the potential benefits? What are some of the concerns, and so on. Now, that might be a nice little resource, especially if you're creating a guide, to put at the back of the guide, or even as a front pager for the guide, so that people can just get answers to questions quickly. Also, if you're using this to create maybe a scheme of work or a course, and you want to have an FAQ that goes alongside of it, or whatever you're doing with it, I think it's a nice resource to have. And as Stephen mentioned before as well, you will notice down the left-hand side, all of the sources are ticked. Now, if I hover over this note, I can click the tick button on that, and you will see at the bottom, it says one note here. So where you can start typing and having a conversation. When I untick that note, it says 12 sources. Hooray, they're all uploaded. So when I'm asking this questions in the chat, I'm essentially chatting with all 12 sources at the same time. If I just want to chat with that note, just click the tick button in the top right-hand corner of that note, and now I can ask it a question. So I might say, tell me about concerns. I think this is where it comes into its own, really, for research. So even in something that you've used the notebook to generate, like this FAQs, you can then have a conversation with that resource as well. So it's going to tell me about the concerns there, and it's just based on that note. And I can select multiple notes as well. So I can really get the AI to focus on just specific sources or all of the sources together. And I can do that as well. In fact, what I'll show you, what you can do here before I move on, is there's a little pin icon at the top. If I click that pin icon, that will take that answer where I just asked specifically about the concerns, and it will put it in my notes. So constantly, as I'm going through, as I'm having conversations with the AI, as I'm getting it to generate, it's populating the note area. So I can go back to it and I can find out information when I need to. And I've got my notes that I can then copy and paste out of. Interestingly, we didn't talk about it before, but I noticed on the roadmap for NotebookLM, they are going to be integrating a rich text writer. So I don't know if that'll be a bit like Google Doc or what, but within NotebookLM, at some point, hopefully in the next few months, you will be able to then write within here as well, long form writing as well as the notes. At the minute, though, you could just open a Google Doc to the side, or you could open Microsoft Word, whatever you use for your writing, and then copy and paste things in. And you've got the sources there as well. So there we go. I can name that note as well if I want to. So I might just, which one was it? It was here. So just going to name that concerns. And there I've got it. And I can see there at the bottom, it says 10 citations on that note. And in fact, if I click that, so I haven't even opened the note, but I've clicked 10 citations. I can hover over. In fact, what I'm doing there is I'm clicking on number 1, and it's telling me the sources or the information that's been referenced there. So if I want quick access to the citations, I can do that. I'm going to untick that note on the left-hand side now, where I've got all of my core source material. There might be a document here that I don't want to include in a search. So you can untick these as well, as you can see. So if I just wanted to search maybe just a few of those documents, because I just want to really narrow it down to some specific content, I can untick and then retick when I need to do that. So I'm going to go back to the notebook guide on my mission control. And Stephen mentioned the study guide. Let's click that and see what we get. So I really like this, because let's say you are creating a scheme of work, a new course. This doesn't just have to be something for your students. It can be something for you as well. I know as a high school teacher, I taught a lot that I didn't necessarily know inside out, because when we train, we don't cover all of the content. Plus, I would get asked to teach different subjects as well. I remember teaching geography, business studies. So this is a nice way to bring in kind of your source material, whatever you're basing your course on, creating a study guide here, which could be even used for yourself so that you can grapple with the core content before you teach it as well. So in this study guide, I'm just going to name it study guide because it always just comes up with a new note. We've got some generative AI in K-12 education, a comprehensive study guide. We've got a quiz there, followed by the answers, followed by some essay questions, a glossary of key terms. Again, that's going to be vitally important, isn't it? And no matter what you're creating, it's always nice to, especially when it's something complex like AI that you want to pass over to the rest of your organization to know about. A glossary of terms is going to come in really handy. And you know that glossary of terms hasn't just been made up by ChatGPT, and you don't know if they're relevant or not. You know they're relevant because it's from the source material. I suppose you're hearing me say this a lot, really, about from the source material. I guess that's the kind of USP of this, the main part of this. It's bringing that functionality of something like Gemini, something like ChatGPT, but really being honed in on your core sources that you want. So yeah, we've got it there. I mean, I'm going to like I said before, I'm no expert in this. I'm talking through because I've tried it out quite a few times over the last couple of weeks. Let us know your experience in the comments, your questions as well, and we'll try to answer. I can't see them right now because I've had to go to this window to be able to use Notebook, but I will jump back in about 5-10 minutes time, maybe 5 minutes time, and we'll have a look through them. If you are in there and you know the answers, please do help each other as well. Yeah, it's all right. I'm not going to be honest. It's not the greatest study guide I've ever come across. It's questions, answers, it's essay questions, but it's usable. I think there's some things in here that I think are really handy and that I would definitely use when creating an AI guide, which is the example we use in here. Right, let's go back to mission control. We've got a table of contents. Let's click that and see what we get as a table of contents. In fact, while that's happening, I'm going to jump back over to the comments and just have a look through. Yeah, thanks for that, Mike. Yeah, you can't share them with other accounts. I'll try and remember to show that. Frank, I don't think you can use it offline. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain. just having a look through. Brilliant. So, Alexandra, great question. How many notebooks can we create? I don't know is the answer. Yeah, I don't know. Keep trying. And when you reach a limit, let us know. But I simply don't. What are the possibilities that Google will start charging for it? That's really interesting. Again, I don't know. But I imagine if it does then get integrated into something like Workspace, it'll probably become standard as within Workspace. Yeah, but I'm just guessing. Okay, let me jump back into. So we've got our timeline here. We asked it for a timeline, didn't we? And actually, did we ask it for a timeline? No, we asked it for a table of contents. Sorry. So we've got a table of contents. So it's taken each document and given a bit of a table of contents for each document. This is really handy actually, because I think especially when you've got lots of different documents and you're trying to learn from all of them, just having this overview is really nice, especially if I'm doing an AI guidance document and I can look through and go, well, actually, I want to put something about human capacity in there. So I'll take that, add that to my contents. I want a framework overview, maybe for prompting, that would be great. I want acceptable use policy, fantastic. And then what I would do is I would go to add note, and you can see here you get the green writing at the top, which says written note. And you can write in that yourself manually. So I might start to, from that table of contents, think, right, what do I want in here? Well, I want something on human capacity, like we said. I want something on a fair use policy. I want some kind of prompt framework that will be effective. Let's say, what else might I want in my AI guidance? Let's say something around academic integrity, the importance of authentic work. Let's maybe say skills to collaborate with AI. Right, so I've made a few notes based on that table of contents. I'm going to put here my table of contents, and I've got that as a note. Now that note now can be brought into some of the searching and the questioning that we're doing here. So let me show you how. So if I click the tick button on my written note, you will see at the bottom, just like before, it says one note. So I'm going to be conversing with that one note. But at the top here, it says, help me understand, critique, suggest related ideas, and create outline. Now, I've got my little table of contents there. I'm going to click suggest related ideas. And what it's going to do is it's going to take my notes, go back into the source material, and pull out references and information from there that will help support my note. So let's see what it comes out with. And there we go. So we can see here, it's got information about the human capacity. It tells me which documents it's come from, the fair use policy, prompt framework. One of them must mention the craft prompt framework, so it's brought that in, and so on. So it's almost a bit of reverse engineering there. You're actually going, right, well, this is what I want. Now back it up with the source material instead of just going to the source material first, if that makes sense. Yeah, all from that table of contents as well, which is really powerful and kind of shows how you can, the workflows within this, instead of just doing kind of lots of one-off jobs, you can really create some impactful workflows, like we did there with researching a table of contents, taking ideas from that, creating a note, and then using our note to go back and get references for what we had created. And you can see I was a bit worried before. Oh, I have just come off it here. Let me go back into it. Just noticed it says untitled as well. At the top there, you can just change the name of it. And we've got it there. Okay. Let me just, I'll jump into a few of the ways you might want to use this. So I'm going to go back to NotebookLM. I'm going to create a new notebook, and I'm going to upload a PDF. And this PDF is all about the Charge of the Light Brigade poem. So let's say it gets taught in English classes in the UK. So I've uploaded the poem there as a PDF. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to add a few links. So at the top, next to sources, if I click the plus button, it gives me a variety of ways here: a text file from Drive. A word of warning: if you are using Google Drive to bring documents or source material in, you're very limited in the file type, so you can't put a PDF that's in your Drive into this, which is really annoying. You've got to download the PDF and then upload it with the PDF option. But like we said, this is still experimental, and I'm sure it'll get those updates eventually. What I really like is the web page URL. So if you click that, and you can paste in some websites. So I'm going to add that one. I'm also going to add one more. So web page URL, paste that in, insert. And like Stephen was saying earlier as well, you can upload images, and it will or charts, and it's able to determine what is happening in the charts, analyze the charts, and use that information as well. Or and take the text from images as well. So you can see here we've got a couple of websites. We've got a PDF, and we've got the summary like before. So I might be designing maybe a series of lessons, a unit of work around the Charge of the Light Brigade for my English class. And this is the great way to start, is you get your resources in there. So as a teacher, you will have all of your resources already. There might be old resources that you want to update. There might be resources you used last year. Get them in here and get working with it with AI, and see what you can do with it. See what you can pull out of it. See how you might be able to create some new up-to-date resources, or get it to make some links that you maybe wouldn't have thought of beforehand. So we get our suggested questions, and we get, like we saw before, we get we've got a timeline here. In fact, let's click the timeline, because we didn't click that before, did we? So let's see what we get for a timeline. So obviously this is probably more appropriate to some source material than others. But here we go. So based on the source materials, give me a bit of a timeline for the poem. So it's a war poem. So British forces enter the Crimean War, Russian seize guns. So it's give me a nice timeline of the events in the poem, which is really handy, especially if you're teaching this to students as well, for them to have that. And then a cast of characters as well. So you've got the 600 men of the British Light Cavalry, Lord Raglan, Cossacks, Russian Army, and Lord Tennyson, who wrote the poem. So again, some really great resources that you could use within your lesson there, and then you can start interacting with that, making your own notes, having conversations with that source material. Okay, let me come back to you. So here we go. So hopefully that's been helpful. I didn't realize we were coming to the end of the hour already, but hopefully that's been helpful for you. If you want to find out more about what I do, I know a lot of you subscribe to the newsletter. That's how you found out about this. But if you want to subscribe to the Sunday newsletter, then please do head over to the AIeducator.io. I do have a free resource pack. So if you go to the website, the AIeducator.io, but you put WS dot at the front of it, that will take you into my resource pack. It's an interactive resource pack with lots of tutorials, lots of guides, pointers to tools that educators are using when it comes to artificial intelligence. So please do check that out. If you want to have a look at the AI Classroom book, Amazing last year became a bestseller on Amazon and has helped educators around the world. If you haven't got a copy of that, please do check it out. You can get it from pretty much every bookstore online. Amazon's probably the fastest, I think. Currently working on the new book where I explore the 4-step method for leading school change in the age of artificial intelligence and how to strategically look at preparing for all these changes that are coming and the tools that we're going to have as educators. It was great to have Stephen with us and to get that expertise. Hopefully we can get him back in the future when there's new updates. We've got a Facebook group with, I think we're at 38,000 members now. So if you just go over to Facebook, type in the AI Classroom, come join us. So many educators there sharing concerns, resources, ideas. If you're wanting to look at other tools for educators and for schools around AI, go to aieducator.tools and we prepare a repository there that you can search of over 200 different tools. I mentioned the Sunday newsletter. I also write articles for Forbes every week. So if you're wanting to have a look at some of them and read some of them, it can be a nice way to share with colleagues and get them looking at kind of some of the cool stuff that's happening around AI in education. That's the resource pack. That's what it looks like. And you can get it at ws.theaieducator.io. We're going to come to an end now. Let me just have a quick look for some other questions. Hopefully it's been helpful. It was a kind of surface level intro because I'm not an expert at this at the moment, and I'm trying this as well. So it's great that a lot of you have jumped in on this and shared ideas and answered each other's questions, because it's a new tool for a lot of us if you're not in the United States, and I think it really could be valuable. That's why I wanted to do this today. Please do check out our sponsors, synaptic.com. Amazing AI solution for assessment in schools. So please do check them out. And in fact, I'm going to end this webinar right now with a short video for them. Whatever you're doing, stay safe and enjoy the rest of the day.